Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. In this one, as you can see, I have got my rear seat module actually welded onto the frame here. As you can see, I've just been dressing up the welds a bit. I got it done at a local garage which I go to quite a lot for my cars, and he just said he would do it for us. Just been tidying up with the angle grinder and me little Dremel over there, and this is basically the biggest job done on the bike. The rear swing arm is still at the same garage because they're now welding on the actual hugger mounts, so I'm hoping to pick that up next, I think it's Saturday. I might even pop up tonight and see if they've done it. But as you can see here, just welded a seam all the way down, and also welded on these little capping points which are on the fabrication just to stop any water getting inside the frame. So this is basically the main part done. The only other thing I'm going to do is, because the weld isn't that smooth, is I've got some JB weld on order, and all I'm going to do is basically use it as a filler and just go all the way up here to make it nice and smooth. And the good thing about JB weld is it can handle 500 degrees Fahrenheit or so on, which is a lot more than the powder coating process, and it also can take powder coat, so I'll use that as a filler, go up here just so it's a nice smooth finish. Same on the other side. But yeah, it's looking quite nice, and as you can see here, I have got the mount for the seat on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch the camera off, and I'm going to quickly put all the components on the bike and just show you how this bike is going to look, sort of, when it's all completely finished. So if you give us 2 minutes, I shall go and get all the stuff on. And there she is. Quite good, isn't it? Well, it gives you a good idea of how the bike's going to look once it's all together. What this stage is called is a black build, and basically what it is putting everything on the bike and just making sure everything fits, because it's a pain if you send it all to powder coat and painting and you find you need to either cut something or modify something, because then you'll need to go and get it either powder coated or painted yet again. And me being a tightwad, I don't like spending any more money than I have to, and also it means there'll be longer to wait. So, going from the back, we have the original CX500 pod. So basically this just gives it the iconic look which the CX500 kind of rear tail light gave the bike originally. But all we've done is we've cut it in a few areas. So it used to extend down the frame, that's been cut off. The mudguard / number plate holder has been cut off, and it makes a nice little tight calf racer pod on the back. As we can see here, these are the mounts for the number plate. Now, one thing I have to do, and I have got them, is to actually, when I mount the number plate, is to put little number plate lights actually where the bolts are, like come as like a bolt, and there's a little LED in the top of them and they shine on the mudguard, because originally there's a little hole in the bottom of this screen where the actual light would shine out and illuminate your number plate, which is blocked, as you can see there. And if we look underneath, you can see where the fabrications are, and it's all nicely welded in. Like I say, I've got some JB weld coming just to finish it off, to tidy it up a bit. These two bolts that are up here, these are the mounts for the seat, so these are actually in the actual seat base. Once it's all done, there'll be 2 bolts going on there just to hold it in place. But yeah, this is the biggest job of the bike, and this is all done now, so it should be plain sailing from here on in. Moving up, we can see we have the seat, which is a very nice seat. I've had a quick sit on it, and it's quite a bit higher than it was when it was in its original form. I'm standing on my tiptoes. I know I'm not a big bloke to start with. I'm only 5'7", I think. So yeah, it's going to be a tall bike, but it seemed comfy enough. I'm going to try and get some 2 bricks maybe, just to try and get the position right and just see how the handlebars and all that feel while I'm sitting on the bike. As we can see here, one thing is we have a gap in between the seat and the tank. Now, I don't know if this is meant to butt up to the tank. However, I actually prefer this, because on the A100 the seat butts up against the tank. Now, you can't see it when you take pictures out, but the actual paint where the seat's rubbing against the tank has all come off. So with this little bit, there's no paint going to be rubbing off this tank, and that's a good thing, because the paint that's going on this tank is being mixed specially for this bike, and you can't touch it up. So once it's sprayed, if anything happens to it, it needs a full new paint job. So that's a little good idea. However, it seems like, if I just point my camera up here, this is the fabrication here for the seat to mount to. So this is it mounted to the frame, and then it mounts up to the seat up here. However, it doesn't actually interface with the seat mounts, it's just shy. So what I'm going to have to do is elongate these holes here, just so the actual mount can be pushed that way a bit, just to actually mount it onto the seat itself. But that's not a big job, and to be honest, it's not that big of a problem. But yeah, it looks good. Moving on, tank's fine. That's going to be the position where it's going to stay. And this is the front end. So as you can see, I've got the top tree on. Managed to find a GSXR 750 top yoke and a set of clip-on handlebars. Tried loosening this handlebar bolt off and it snapped. So I'm going to have to try and find some way of getting this bolt out, which is going to be fun. But that's a problem for another day. But yeah, so that's basically how the bike is going to look. And to be honest, I think it looks quite badass. I've sat on it quickly and just basically had a feel of how the riding style is going to be, and it doesn't actually seem that aggressive. Now, it might be, yet again, that I am a short arse and it doesn't actually force me too far over the tank, just because I fit into bikes pretty well just because of my stature. So yeah, but yeah, it looks pretty darn good. So the next stage is, after I've finished off the welds on the back, is to basically check it all over, try and get the centre stand mount out, because that's been a right arse. There's basically a pin that goes through here, and I've tried everything to try and get that out, and it's not budging. So next stage is get a blowtorch on that and just try and expand that metal. If not, I might have to get the big guns out and drill it. The side stand's also been a right arse to get off, but at this moment in time I need it there anyway. So once the rear swing arm has come back with all mounted, I'll check that, and then I'll be starting to get stuff ready for the paint and powder coat. I don't know when that's going to be. I was planning this month or next month, but there's a financial what shall I say, event coming up, and the money might be getting spent elsewhere at the time, at the present. So I'm still waiting to see if I actually, yeah, if it goes through or not. If it does, it means I'm not going to be working in this shed no more. I'll be working in another shed, but a nice plush shed. So yeah, that might give you an inclination of what's happening. But yeah, so far so good, and you can't say that's a good looking calf racer, even though it's not fully complete yet, but the basic shape is there in front of you. So yeah. Another thing that I'm going to have to do at some point is this engine, but I know it runs fine. It just needs basically cosmetic doing up and general service. Some of the seals need changing, but other than that, quite good. And the radiator on the floor there also needs looking at. I'm hoping it's in one piece, as in there's no holes. Can't see any just by the eye, but we know radiators, as soon as there's pressure going through them, that can be a different matter. However, I'm going to be using high temperature fluid in this engine, so I think it's called Evans or something, Evans fluid. It boils at 180 degrees, so basically if I use that, the actual cooling system won't get up to any pressure other than the flow generated by the impeller in the engine. There will be no kind of pressure generated because of the actual water trying to expand and basically heat up. So yeah, that should put a lot less stress on the actual system itself, and it's also very good fluid. It keeps the engine very cool, I have heard. So yeah, it's expensive though, so that's another thing I'm going to have to fork out for. There might be a cheaper option out there on the market, so that might be my next thing. So yeah, I'm going to tidy up in here. I'm going to take all the bits off this bike and get it ready to get stored, and yeah, that's the update for today, guys. Keep watching. I'm hoping to get plenty more up in the next few weeks, and hopefully the 1st to the 3rd of December I'm off again, so I'll be doing quite a bit more on the bike if it hasn't got any colder, because it's getting bloody cold out here. So anyway, like always, keep safe, and I shall see you soon.